Welcome to What's in the Truck. And today is November 15th of 2021. We're going to go over a couple different articles that we read today. One is the Wall Street legend warns strange days coming to America. The top tech investor, Paul Meeks, won't put new money to work in Apple anymore and the other FANG stocks. It blames the chip shortage for this. You know, there's a chip shortage, so what's going on with that? Maybe we'll go over that a little bit of what's really going on. And the consumer sentiment hits a 10-year low while workers quit their jobs in record numbers. The Taproot, Bitcoin's largest long-anticipated update, has been activated. And the industry recruiters express concern over truck driver shortage and the lack of candidates that are available. So let's get right into it as we talk about what's in the truck for today. So as we look here at this first article, it says Wall Street legend warns strange day is coming to America. Now inside this, when you go through this, you'll probably note also, if you start researching this, and please do research this stuff on your own. I'm not an economist, I'm not a financial advisor at all, but I'm just a guy here sharing what I see on a daily basis and what really just came to attention to me. So as we go through this, if you go through this, you may click on some things. It may be an advertisement somewhere and it's asking you to buy something. Only buy something if you really want it. I'm not trying to sell you anything here, so just understand that. So while most Americans want to put 2020 behind them and return to a normal life, and what's normal now, right? I honestly believe we have about another 5 more years to go with this whole COVID world. It's not just, 6 months or a year or 2 years. It's going to be a 7-year stint. And as we go through this, you'll see what's actually going on and how long we're actually in this for. So a massive and surprising new transition could determine the next group of millionaires, says Chaikin. Chaikin, who predicted the 2020 market crash while leaving 99% of the public worse off than before. So where are you with your 401k? Are you continuing to ride the wave, or are you moving that into something where it's more of a fixed income where you're getting a percentage? So ask yourself that question and see where you're really at. If you own regular stocks, you're in a big surprise. So all my equities, I got out of all my equities except for a stock that I've been holding on to for the last, since 2004. So Chaikin has appeared on numerous times of CNBC. Fast Money says, you absolutely must consider buying one particular type of investment right now before it's too late. So as he goes through this, some of this stuff as you go through here, it's pretty interesting, and he'll take you through probably a rabbit hole where you're trying to find out exactly what that is. And so Chaikin has this cool process of identifying which stocks to buy. And he actually put all the algorithms together so that you could choose which way to go instead of studying for the next 5 years on how to read charts. So he's pretty good at that. And if you want to learn more information, you can go right here to this hyperlink, and they'll be in there in the feed and below. So go ahead and check those out. Additional on CNBC, we've got top tech investor Paul Meeks. He's another great guy. Won't put new money to work in Apple and other FANG names. Blames the chip shortage that could extend through 2023. Now, with the chip shortage, you have to understand that there's a lot of mining going on, right? So think of like back in the good old days when there were a rush on the hills in California looking for gold and mining for gold. A lot of people were, buying axes and chisels and pans and who knows? And they were just traveling and disappearing from their families for months on end. Well, the same thing is happening with mining, but what's happening is a lot of chips are being used to go ahead and do the mining. So you're seeing this huge shortage, and they really didn't anticipate this. Plus, we have a whole bunch of other things that are going on with technology increasing at an ever fast pace. Moore's Law kicking in, right, as we move forward. So as we go through this might be a problem that persists deep into 2023. Notice 2022 is not even here yet. The Independent Solution Wealth Management Portfolio Manager told Trading Nation on Friday some of these companies actually will not be able to ship units at all. And if they can't ship units, they might disappoint on their earnings, he said. So if you say that you're going to be hitting certain numbers on your earnings calls, and you have that quarterly call coming up, and you have to report that you couldn't sell as many because you didn't have the supply, that's really going to hurt your numbers on Wall Street. And Wall Street, it's all about the numbers, all about it. Their stocks are so expensive that they could go down. Not go down a bit, but they could go down a lot. When there's a ripple effect, what happens? Everything going down could cause a full-blown depression, especially if we can't get certain things moving. So let's get on to the next one. Consumer sentiment hits a 10-year low while workers quit jobs in record numbers. So what's happening with this? Well, the rising prices for homes, vehicles, and durable goods were reported more frequently than other times in more than half a century, one survey says. So you can see here, bacon, Farmer John bacon is $6.99 a pound. So bacon's going up. So it's going to be quite interesting. And we talked about this too in What's in the Truck in the past about how inflation has hit in 2021. The rates that our customers have been paying have gone up, escalated to about 20% more than they were in 2020. So if that happened in 2021, what do you think is going to happen in 2022? There's also a 6 to 8 month lag when rates are going up in transportation that the supply chain doesn't really realize it until about 6 to 8 months later. And then they start making their shifts where they need to increase their profit margins so that they can be profitable in the transportation. So people are probably going to be thinking about this as they're ending this year, and as they go into the next year and saying, well, we have to go ahead and put some forward thinking into this, into what we're going to be charging on these shipments as well. So as you see this, there's going to be two things that happen. Number one, you're going to see a shortage of goods, and you're going to see an increase in goods. So as we're going through this, you're going to find, and let's go through this article a little bit. You'll see here, consumer confidence hit a 10-year low in November as inflation climbed to the highest level since the early 1990s, according to a closely watched gauge. As we go down into this, and I'm saving you some information here, but consumer sentiment fell in early November to hit its lowest level in a decade due to the escalating inflation rate and the growing belief among consumers that no effective policies have yet been developed to reduce the damage from surging inflation, said Richard Curtin, the survey chief economist. So as Curtin says that, it's going to be quite interesting as we move forward. Plus, I'll just read this one. The gauge also indicated a low level of belief that policymakers are acting appropriately to handle the inflation, which ran at 6.2% for October. According to the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, released on Wednesday. Despite continued decline in how people feel about the economy, workers again left their jobs in record number in September. So what's happening is people are leaving their jobs, right? So, in situations like this, it's going to be quite interesting, especially since we have about 12 million jobs that are available and something like 11 million people are unemployed. So people aren't willing to get up out of their home to go to work. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what's happening as we move forward. This is the last piece on this. The Labor Department is in its job openings and labor turnover survey said there were 10.4 million unemployment openings as relatively modest decline from the 10.6 million in August, but still well above this 7.68 million people looking for jobs in September. JOLTS data runs a month behind the department's Wiley Watch monthly jobs report. So it's pretty interesting here. The numbers that I gave you, very close, just off by a fraction. But it's going to be quite interesting as we move forward. Plus, with the vaccine mandates that are going on right now, anyone that has over 100 employees, each employee will have to be mandated to get their vaccine or lose their job, or maybe have to go through some testing every single week, which is pretty interesting. And we just had an employee last week just say, I got COVID, and he's had 2 shots and his booster. And so it's pretty interesting as we're going through this whole thing. I don't know if you're vaccinated or not, but through this, even the people that are vaccinated are getting COVID, and it's taken them down for a period of time. There's still people dying that have their vaccination shot, and if they get COVID, there are people dying. There's people dying that don't have their vaccination shot. So we're like I said, we're going to be in this for another 5 years. So very interesting times that we are in, and then trying to run a business at the same time. Go figure. Let's go over to CoinDesk, and here Taproot, Bitcoin's longest anticipated upgrade, has been activated. This was activated this past weekend. And Taproot gives developers an extended toolbox to work with as they continue to ideate, iterate, and build on Bitcoin. So let's talk about this really quick, and what does this truly mean? So Taproot is something called a soft fork. So what is a soft fork versus a hard fork? If you have Ethereum or you mine Ethereum, and you don't upgrade to the hard fork, you're unable to use your Ethereum. Hard fork. So on a soft fork, which Taproot is on, that allows you to go ahead and still use it. It's just the certain things that were modified in the toolbox you're just not going to be able to use until you upgrade your software. So you have to upgrade your software, but you can still use and get a hold of your crypto. So with Taproot, it's for Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin, you'll still be able to use it even though you didn't get the upgrade, right? It's like your phone, your iPhone, if you have an iPhone. But on your iPhone, if you have that iPhone and you don't take that ISO upgrade, then you can still use your phone. And I just upgraded to my latest version just this past weekend. So there's a difference between a soft fork, meaning the upgrade is there, I just didn't upgrade yet, I can still use my phone, that's a soft fork, versus a hard fork, you have an upgrade, you can't use your phone until you actually upgrade. So understand that as we go forward, and you'll see like Bitcoin only does this once in a great while. And so let's read through some of this and you'll understand a little bit more as I started learning a little bit more as well. Taproot, the longest anticipated Bitcoin upgrade, activated at block 709632, opening the door for developers to integrate new features that will improve privacy, scalability, and security on the network. The upgrade locked in back in June when 90% of the miners chose to signal their support. A programmed waiting period between lock-in and activation has since given node operators and miners time to fully upgrade to the latest version of Bitcoin Core 21.1, which contains the merge code for Taproot. Only once they do so will they be able to enforce the new rules, making it possible to use the new type of transaction. So as we move forward into this, they're going to have to upgrade into the new software 21.1 as we go through that. So various technical innovations. So there's several different things that are going to be going on in here, and this is where you hear BIPs. You'll hear BIPs on a regular basis, and BIPs are the Bitcoin Improvement Proposals. So as we go through this, you'll see that every transaction using Taproot will now use this new digital signature scheme, adding new capabilities designed to boost the privacy, security, and scale of Bitcoin transactions. So, for instance, multi-signature transactions, which require more than one out of a group of signatures to sign a transaction, will be cheaper than and will use less data. So that's pretty interesting as we go forward. And the scalability, one thing I just want to point out here, another issue Taproot should address is Bitcoin's limited transaction space, which makes scalability a huge problem for the digital currency. Developers can't simply increase this limit without impinging on Bitcoin's decentralization, so they are always looking for ways to make use of the currently available backspace more efficiently. So it's going to be quite interesting as we move forward. And, just the signatures are just one piece of it. Any miners that have not upgraded to the new software will be unable to successfully mine on the network, and they'll miss out on earning any new block rewards. That's not good for miners. So they better upgrade. If they haven't already, they should do it now. But developers have done a lot to ensure that miners have had adequate opportunity to get up to speed. Indeed, over 90% of miners have already indicated that they will plan to upgrade to the new software, which is why Taproot was able to lock in back in June, and why there was a 5-month delay before activation would kick in. So they did test this. I remember them testing this. And they did it for a period of time just to see how the network would actually handle it. Activation doesn't mean that all the work is done. However, users won't be able to send or receive new type of transactions until their particular Bitcoin wallet supports it. And most wallets don't support it yet. Wallet developers will need to write new code for their wallets to make such transactions possible. So if you have a cold wallet that you're sitting on, that software is not written yet, and it probably won't be for a while. So I just wanted to say thank you very much. Thanks for tuning in. I acknowledge you for your time. You made it this far. Thank you very much. I really like bringing this information forward to you guys. This is what I see early in the morning as I'm getting started, and then putting this together for you so that you have it on your way home or the end of the day, just so that you know what's going on. So thank you very much for being here. I really do appreciate it. This is another episode of What's in the Truck. Thank you very much. Have a blessed week, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.